The storm was alive. It wasn't made of rain or thunder, but fire and lightning that twisted through the dark space. A small human ship, the Horizon, spun helplessly inside it. Alarms screamed. Sparks flew across the metal walls as panels burst open. Inside, Ethan Ward, a human engineer, fought to stay conscious. His hands moved fast across the controls, trying to restart the engines. Sweat dripped down his forehead. The ship trembled like a dying beast. "Come on. Just one more push," he whispered. But the engines only coughed in reply. Outside the window, the storm swallowed the stars. Then, silence. A single bright flash. The ship broke apart. When Ethan opened his eyes, everything was quiet. The world around him was green and glowing. Giant trees shimmered with silver leaves. Strange blue fireflies floated through the misty air. He was alive but not safe. Pain spread through his chest. He tried to stand but fell to his knees. His ship lay broken behind him, half buried in crystal sand. Smoke rose into the alien sky. Then he heard voices, harsh metallic voices, not human. Shapes moved through the mist. Tall figures in shining armor, carrying long energy spears. Their eyes glowed red. One of them pointed at him and said, "A human, a forbidden creature." Another replied coldly, "The Emperor ordered all humans destroyed. This one dies here." Ethan froze. He had no weapon, no translator, no way to explain he meant no harm. The alien soldiers surrounded him. The leader raised his spear. Blue light gathered at its tip, humming like thunder. Ethan closed his eyes. This was it. Then, a sharp, commanding voice cut through the air. "Don't touch the human. I'll protect him." The soldiers stopped. The leader's hand trembled. Slowly they stepped aside. From between the armored warriors, a tall figure appeared. She wasn't like the others. Her armor was silver white, glowing softly in the light. Her eyes, bright violet, looked almost human. It was Princess Lyra, daughter of the Emperor of the Zethari Empire. Everyone dropped to one knee as she approached. But she didn't look at them. She looked at Ethan. Her expression was calm, but her heart beat fast. She had never seen a human before, only in forbidden ancient texts. "He's not dangerous," she said. The commander protested. "My princess, the law forbids contact. The human race brought ruin to the stars long ago." Lyra's voice grew sharper. "And yet he bleeds. He suffers. He is alive. You will not harm him." The soldiers looked at each other, confused and afraid. Ethan struggled to stay awake. His vision blurred, but he saw her face. Soft light, calm voice, like a dream. He whispered weakly, "Who are you?" Lyra knelt beside him. Her fingers hovered over his shoulder, afraid to touch. "I am Lyra," she said softly. "You are safe now," her guards gasped. "No, princess. You can't touch him. It's forbidden." But Lyra ignored them. She pressed her hand against his wound. A warm golden glow spread from her palm, energy healing. Ethan felt the pain fade, his breathing steady again. "Forgive me," she whispered, "but I will not let you die." Above them, a dark shape moved. A scout drone, recording everything. One soldier saw it and shouted, "The Emperor will know, my princess." Lyra looked up, eyes full of defiance. "Let him know." She turned back to Ethan. "You must come with me before they return. You are not safe here." Ethan could barely walk. Lyra ordered 2 guards to carry him to her transport. The others followed in silence, afraid of what her choice meant. As they moved through the glowing jungle, Ethan looked up at her and whispered, Why are you helping me?" Lyra glanced down at him. "Because," she said, "you are human, and that means something my people have forgotten." That night, as the ship lifted from the jungle floor, the camera of a spy drone watched them disappear into the clouds. The image transmitted directly to the royal palace, and where a tall shadow stood watching. The Emperor's voice was cold and deep. "My daughter has touched the human." The palace of Zathar Prime shimmered like a mountain of glass and light. Its walls hummed softly, built from crystal veins that carried living energy. Inside those halls, silence ruled, except in one secret chamber deep beneath the tower. That was where Princess Lyra hid the human. Ethan lay on a bed made of soft metallic fabric. His skin still carried faint burns from the crash, but Lyra's healing light had saved him. When he opened his eyes, the room looked unreal. Tall, curved walls glowing with pale blue symbols that danced like water. Lyra stood beside him, watching quietly. Her silver armor was gone. Now she wore a long white cloak that shimmered faintly when she moved. "You are awake," she said softly. Ethan blinked, confused. "Where am I?" "In my private chamber. No one can enter without my command." He tried to sit up, but pain shot through his chest. Lyra gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "You must rest. Your body is weak." Ethan stared at her. This strange alien princess with kind eyes. "Why did you save me?" he asked. Lyra looked toward the glowing walls. "Because your kind once built the stars," she said quietly. "At least that's what our oldest stories say. But in my world, believing that is treason." He frowned. "So your people hate humans?" "They fear you," Lyra replied. "Long ago, the humans disappeared after the Great Collapse. Our historians claimed you destroyed yourselves and tried to take everyone with you. My father made it law. If any human is found, they must be erased." Her voice trembled slightly. "I broke that law." Ethan stared at her, speechless. The weight of her words sank in. "Then you risked your life for me." Lyra smiled faintly. "Perhaps. But I think it is worth the risk." Far above them, inside the royal throne hall, the emperor sat in his dark seat, surrounded by advisors and guards. One of his generals knelt before him. "Your daughter hides the human in the lower palace. Should we capture him?" The emperor's eyes glowed faintly red. "No," he said. "Let her think she's hidden him. I want to see how far she'll go." His voice turned cold. "If she betrays her bloodline, she will learn what it means to protect the enemy." Back in Lyra's chamber, Ethan had started working again. On a small table lay the broken remains of his distress beacon. A small metal device the size of his hand. His fingers moved slowly, connecting wires, adjusting circuits. Lyra watched with curiosity. "You are repairing it," she said. "Yes, it's a signal beacon," Ethan replied. "If I can fix it, I can call for help. Maybe someone from the human colonies will hear it." She tilted her head. "I thought your kind were extinct." Ethan smiled weakly. "Maybe not all of us." But as soon as he powered the device, a soft pulse of energy rippled through the air. The walls of the palace caught it. Sensors awakening, recording. Lyra's eyes widened. "Stop!" Ethan quickly shut it down. "What's wrong?" "That signal will be traced," she whispered. "The palace AI will alert the guards. We must hide it, now." They moved quickly, wrapping the device in shielding cloth. Footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Lyra's heart raced. She placed her hand on the wall, and the crystals dimmed, silencing the alarms for a few seconds. The door slid open. A tall alien in black robes entered. Her mentor, General Kale, his face lined with suspicion. "Princess," he said slowly, "I sensed an unusual energy reading from this chamber. You wouldn't be hiding something forbidden, would you?" Lyra turned smoothly, her voice calm. "That was my experiment. I'm studying energy resonance." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Strange. The pattern looked human." Ethan stayed perfectly still in the shadows behind the bed. His heart pounded so loud he thought Kale would hear it. Finally, the general bowed. "Be careful, my princess. Curiosity can be dangerous, even for you." When he left, Lyra exhaled in relief. Ethan whispered, "He almost saw me." Lyra nodded. "He will return. We can't stay here for long." As the night deepened, Lyra stood by the window staring at the city lights below, endless towers of glass and storm clouds glowing red. Ethan approached quietly. "You should let me go," he said. "If I stay, they'll punish you." Lyra turned toward him. Her expression was firm now. "No, you are my responsibility. I swore to protect you, but why?" "Because," she said softly, "I see something in you my people have lost. Hope." For a moment, they just looked at each other, human and alien, two souls caught between fear and wonder. Then a sharp alarm rang through the tower. A metallic voice echoed across the halls. "Unauthorized energy signature detected. Search all sectors." Lyra's eyes widened. "They've found us." Ethan clutched the beacon. "What do we do?" Lyra grabbed his hand. "We run." The doors burst open. Blue light filled the room as guards stormed in. Lyra summoned her energy. Bright golden wings flared behind her. The soldiers froze in awe. She turned to Ethan, voice fierce and royal. "Stay close, human. From this moment, You're under my protection." And with a flash of light, they vanished into the night. The twin suns rose over Zethar Prime, painting the crystal towers in red and gold. But inside the royal palace, the morning was cold and silent. Guards moved quickly through the marble halls, carrying energy rifles and speaking in hushed voices. Everyone knew. The emperor was angry. In the center of the throne hall stood Princess Lyra, her silver cloak torn from the night's escape. Her glowing wings had faded, leaving only faint light patterns across her back. The human, Ethan, stood beside her, surrounded by armored soldiers with weapons ready. The emperor sat high upon his black crystal throne, his gaze sharp as a blade. His armor was carved with symbols of conquest. His eyes, burning crimson, studied the two like insects under glass. When he spoke, the whole hall seemed to tremble. "You broke our oldest law, my daughter. You touched the human." Lyra knelt but did not lower her head. "Father, he is not a threat. He is a survivor, intelligent, peaceful." Silence. The emperor thundered. "Do you know what humans did? They burned the stars. They poisoned whole worlds. And you bring one into my palace?" Ethan wanted to speak, but Lyra raised a hand to stop him. "Those are old stories," she said calmly. "Maybe lies. Have you ever seen a human do harm, father? Have you seen this one raise a weapon?" The court murmured in shock. No one had ever spoken to the emperor like that. The emperor stood slowly. "You forget your place. You are Zethari royalty, born to rule, not to question." He turned his gaze to Ethan. "Human, step forward." Ethan hesitated. Guards pushed him roughly. He stumbled before the throne. The emperor looked down at him. "Tell me, human, why are you here?" Ethan met his eyes. His voice was weak but steady. "My ship crashed. I didn't come to fight. I just wanted to live." "Live?" The emperor's tone dripped with disgust. "You creatures had your chance to live. Now you crawl back to infect what you destroyed." Lyra stepped forward. "Enough," she said fiercely. "He is not our enemy." "He saved my life." Enough." The emperor's energy flared. The floor cracked beneath him. "If you stand with the human, you stand against me." The room fell silent. Lyra's heart pounded. She looked at her father, the man she had loved and feared since childhood, and saw no mercy in his eyes. Then, in a voice steady as stone, she said, "Then I stand against you." The court gasped. Some guards raised their weapons. Others stepped back afraid. The emperor's fury shook the walls. "You are no longer my daughter," he growled. "You are a traitor of blood and crown." He raised his hand. "Take them both away. The human will be executed at dawn. The princess will watch." Guards surrounded them. Lyra's wings burst into light. "Ethan, run!" Ethan grabbed a fallen spear and swung it at the guards, deflecting an energy blast. The room exploded into chaos. Lyra's power surged. Beams of golden fire cut through the air. "Seize her," shouted the commander. Lyra extended her hand toward Ethan. "Come with me." The two ran toward the glass balcony. Behind them, the emperor shouted, "Do not let them escape." Lyra leapt over the railing, wings unfolding in a brilliant flash. Ethan clung to her as they soared over the city, lasers and drones chasing them through the clouds. "Hold on," she yelled. Energy bolts exploded around them. A blast hit her shoulder. She cried out in pain but didn't stop. Below, the shining city stretched for miles, endless towers, hovercraft lanes, and glowing rivers of plasma. Ethan had never seen anything so beautiful or deadly. They dove into the fog, engines screaming behind them. Lyra's hovercraft waited on the lower platform. She threw Ethan inside, hit the controls, and the craft shot into the icy skies. As they broke through the storm clouds, Ethan looked back. "You lost everything because of me." Lyra kept her eyes on the horizon. "No," she said quietly. "I lost everything because I finally chose what's right." A distant explosion echoed behind them, the royal fleet taking off in pursuit. Ethan glanced at her, voice trembling. "Where do we go now?" Lyra stared at the dark mountains ahead. "There's only one place left. The ice plains, beyond the capital's reach." Lightning flashed outside the window as the hovercraft sped through the storm. Lyra's hands shook from exhaustion, but her voice remained firm. "They'll call me traitor. They'll call you monster. But together, we'll make them see the truth." Suddenly, a beam struck their craft. Warning lights flashed red. The engine screamed. "Brace yourself," Lyra shouted. The hovercraft spiraled out of control, fire trailing behind it. Ethan tried to hold her as the world spun into chaos. Through the glass, they saw the ice plains, endless white stretching into darkness, rushing up fast. The last thing Ethan heard before everything went black was Lyra's voice. Fierce and desperate. "I'll protect you, even if it destroys me." Then the world exploded into light and silence. The crash left nothing but fire and silence. The sky was a storm of silver clouds and frozen dust. The hovercraft lay half buried in snow, its metal body steaming under the cold wind. Inside the wreck, Ethan Ward opened his eyes. His head throbbed. Everything was white, snow, fog, frost. His breath came out as mist. The control panel was cracked and smoking. "Lyra," he whispered. He turned and saw her. Princess Lyra slumped beside him, her armor shattered, wings dim and fading. The golden light that once surrounded her had vanished, leaving her pale and still. Panic filled his chest. He crawled to her, shaking her shoulder gently. "Hey, wake up, please, no answer." Her skin was icy. The wind screamed through the broken hull. Ethan's mind raced. He tore off his jacket and wrapped it around her. Then, using trembling hands, he dragged her out of the wreckage. The air outside was biting cold. Each breath felt like knives in his lungs. He spotted a small cave nearby, hidden under a wall of blue ice. Struggling against the snow, he carried her inside. His muscles burned, but he didn't stop until she was safe under the frozen shelter. Inside the cave, he found old tech fragments, ancient Zathari metal and crystal pieces buried in the ice. Using bits of wire and a power cell from his ship, Ethan built a small heat generator. The faint orange glow filled the cave, pushing back the cold darkness. He laid Lyra close to the heat source and whispered, "Don't you die on me. You saved me. Now it's my turn." Hours passed. The wind outside never stopped. Ethan sat beside her, holding her hand. He could feel the faint pulse under her skin. Then slowly, her eyes opened. At first, she said nothing. She stared at the human who had built a fire in the middle of the frozen world, his face pale, his hands bleeding from work. "You stayed," she whispered. Ethan smiled weakly. "You saved me twice. I figured I owed you at least once." Lyra looked around. "We are far from the capital. My people will not search here soon." "Good," he said. "We could use the break." She tried to sit, but pain shot through her shoulder. Ethan quickly supported her. "Easy, you took a hard hit." Lyra gave a small laugh, breathless but genuine. "You sound like a soldier." "I'm an engineer," he replied. "I fix broken things." She looked at him, really looked, and saw warmth in his eyes, the kind she had never seen among her kind. As the hours passed, they talked. The cave became their small world of quiet warmth amid endless ice. Lyra told him stories of her childhood, growing up under palace rules, learning that emotion was weakness. Ethan told her about Earth, about oceans and music and laughter. She listened closely, eyes wide like a child hearing a fairy tale. "Your world sounds beautiful," she said softly. "It was," he replied. "But we lost it. Maybe we were too proud. Maybe we forgot what we had." Lyra touched the ice wall beside her. "My people forgot too. We traded kindness for power, and now I see what that has done." Ethan looked at her glowing fingertips. "You're not like them." Her voice softened. "Neither are you." They smiled, a brief, quiet connection in the endless cold. But peace never lasts long. Outside something moved, metal against ice. A faint blue light flickered across the snow. Ethan froze. Lyra's eyes widened. "They found us." She crawled to the cave entrance and looked out. Drones, black spider-like machines, were scanning the area. Their red sensors cut through the snow. "They're tracking my ship's energy," Ethan whispered. Lyra stood, summoning what remained of her strength. "Then we stop them before they call for the fleet." She stepped outside, her cloak whipping in the wind. Her body glowed faintly with gold light again, weaker but still powerful. The first drone fired a beam of blue energy. Lyra raised her hand, the blast shattered into sparks. Another drone charged. She unleashed a burst of plasma from her wings, melting it mid-air. Ethan watched in awe. She looked like a goddess of fire in a world of ice. But one drone fired from behind her. She didn't see it. Ethan shouted, "Lyra!" and ran forward, grabbing a metal rod from the wreck and smashing it against the drone. The explosion threw him back, but it was enough. Lyra turned, eyes blazing. "You fool," she said, but there was warmth in her tone. "You could have been killed." "So could you," he said, smiling. She walked to him, knelt, and touched his forehead gently. Her glow pulsed stronger. "You saved me again?" He looked at her glowing eyes. "Guess we're even." As the snowstorm faded, the two stood at the cave's edge, watching the frozen horizon. Ethan whispered, "They'll keep coming, won't they?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, and next time they'll bring hunters." She turned to him, determination burning in her eyes. "Then we'll move before dawn, together." Ethan smiled faintly. "You're not giving up on me, are you?" Lyra shook her head. "Never." The wind howled outside, but inside the cave, warmth remained. A fragile bond forming between two hearts from different worlds. Somewhere above the clouds, the Emperor's fleet still searched. But for the first time, the human and the alien princess were not afraid. They had found something stronger than fear. Trust. The storm passed, leaving only a pale silence over the endless ice plains. The frozen land shimmered like broken glass under the faint light of Zethar's twin suns. Inside a deep ravine, Ethan and Princess Lyra moved through the snow, their footsteps slow but steady. They had been walking for hours, following the faint signal from Ethan's repaired beacon. Lyra's shoulder still glowed faintly from the wound she had taken during the crash. Ethan glanced at her with concern. "You should rest," he said. "You're still hurt." She shook her head. "If we stop, they'll find us. The Emperor won't stop until I'm dead, or until you are." Her voice carried a quiet fire, calm but unbreakable. As they moved deeper into the icy valley, the wind carried strange sounds, low hums, echoes of machines. Lyra stopped suddenly and raised her hand. "They're close," she whispered. Ethan crouched beside her. Through the haze, dark shadows appeared, hunter ships, sleek and deadly, scanning the area. Their blue lights swept across the snow like searchbeams. Ethan's heart raced. "What do we do?" Lyra's eyes narrowed. "We fight." She pulled a crystal pendant from around her neck and pressed it to her chest. The air rippled. A circle of light formed around her feet. Ethan watched in awe as golden energy veins spread across her armor like living fire. Her wings reappeared, larger, brighter than ever. Two blazing arcs that shimmered like the sun breaking through a storm. The nearest hunter ship spotted them. Its cannons charged and fired a pulse of blue plasma. Lyra raised both hands, and the energy stopped midair, frozen inside a golden shield. With a fierce cry, she flung it back. The explosion painted the sky in orange fire. Ethan ducked behind a block of ice, shielding his face from the blast. "Remind me never to make you angry," he shouted. Lyra smiled faintly. "Then don't give me a reason." More ships descended, releasing spider-like drones that landed all around them. The machines crawled forward, their eyes glowing red. Lyra took a deep breath, her aura pulsing brighter. "Stay behind me." The drones attacked, beams of light cutting through the snow. Lyra spun gracefully, her golden wings slicing through the air. Every move was a mix of fury and beauty. Fire clashed with frost, but there were too many. A drone fired a missile toward Ethan. He barely had time to react. And then Lyra was there, pushing him down, her wings folding around him like a shield. The blast hit her instead. She screamed, her light flickering. Ethan caught her before she fell. "Lyra!" Smoke rose from her armor. Her breathing was shaky, but her eyes stayed fierce. "I can't let them take you," she said weakly. Ethan grabbed the plasma rifle from a fallen drone. "You're not fighting alone." He stood beside her, firing at the attackers. Each shot cracked through the frozen air. One by one, the drones fell. Lyra lifted her hand and unleashed one final surge, a wave of gold fire that tore through the sky, melting ice and metal alike. When the smoke cleared, the battlefield was silent. Only snowflakes drifted through the glowing air. Lyra fell to her knees. Her light faded slowly, leaving faint embers dancing around her. Ethan ran to her side. "You're bleeding again," he said, his voice trembling. She smiled weakly. "A small price for peace." Ethan looked at her, eyes wide. "Peace, that was a war." She touched his face gently. "If they wanted war, I gave them fire. Behind them, the wreckage burned." The signal beacon on Ethan's wrist blinked green, faint but alive. He stared at it in surprise. It's working. The beacon's transmitting. Lyra frowned. Good, but now everyone will hear it, not just your people. He hesitated. You mean, yes, she said softly. My father's spies. The council. The whole galaxy will know that the alien princess protected a human. Her words echoed through the cold air. By nightfall, the fire had faded, leaving only blue ash across the snow. Ethan sat near a small heat source, repairing the beacon's signal strength. Lyra stood a few feet away, staring up at the stars. Her wings glowed faintly, reflecting the light of distant constellations. Why did you save me again? Ethan asked quietly. Lyra didn't turn. Because I saw something in you. Something worth protecting. My people call humans destroyers, but I think they're wrong. You build, you care, you dream. She looked at him then, her violet eyes glowing softly. You make me believe again. Ethan smiled, unsure what to say. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence between them wasn't cold, and it was peaceful. Then, far above them, thunder rumbled. The sky shimmered red. Massive shapes appeared. The Emperor's fleet had arrived. Lyra's expression hardened. He's coming. Ethan looked up, fear in his eyes. We can't fight that. Lyra spread her wings, fire burning bright again. We don't fight it, she said. We find the truth. And we make the galaxy remember who the humans really were. As the fleet descended and the ice plains shook beneath them, the Princess of Fire stood tall beside the last human, no longer just a protector, but a spark ready to ignite the stars, and for the first time, the universe began to fear the light of a human and an alien standing together. The night sky over the ice plains burned red. Giant warships floated above the clouds, their shadows covering the land like dark gods. The roar of engines echoed across the frozen world. Princess Lyra and Ethan stood inside a glowing ruin deep within the mountains, a place older than the Empire itself. The walls were carved with strange human symbols, long faded by time. Golden light pulsed softly through the floor, like the heartbeat of something ancient waiting to wake. Ethan brushed the frost off a smooth metal surface. These markings, they're in human script, he whispered. This place, it's not alien. It's ours. Lyra's eyes widened. You mean? He nodded. Humans built this. At the center of the chamber stood a tall crystal pillar. Lyra touched it carefully and light rushed through the room. The wall shifted, revealing holograms, stars, planets, galaxies, all swirling in motion. The images showed humans traveling across space, building cities on distant worlds, creating species that looked almost familiar. One of the holograms zoomed in. It showed the creation of tall beings with silver skin and violet eyes. Lyra stepped closer, trembling. That's my people. The voice of an ancient AI echoed through the chamber, soft and melodic. Project Genesis, humanity's gift to the stars. The Zathari, born from human design, to continue life beyond the fall of Earth. Lyra's heart stopped. She whispered, We were made by humans. Ethan's voice broke with emotion. You weren't our enemies. You were our children. The chamber shook suddenly and an explosion outside. The Emperor's forces had landed. Through the ruined entrance, flashes of blue light cut through the snow. Lyra turned toward the sound. They've found us. Ethan moved quickly, checking the beacon on his wrist. If I can connect it to the central core, we can send this message to every system in range. Everyone will know the truth, Lyra nodded. Do it. I'll hold them off. She stepped outside, her golden wings bursting to life once again. The night exploded with color, blue lasers against golden fire. In the control chamber, Ethan worked fast, connecting wires, rerouting circuits. The AI's voice guided him. Signal sequence initiated. Warning, external interference detected. Ethan gritted his teeth. Come on, just a few more seconds. Through the smoke outside, Lyra fought like a star reborn. Every movement left trails of light. Every strike turned ice to steam. But for every ship she destroyed, 2 more appeared. Then from the sky the Emperor himself descended, his armor black as night, his crown glowing red. He stepped onto the battlefield surrounded by his elite guards. His voice echoed through the storm. You shame our blood, Lyra. You protect a ghost from a dead race. Lyra hovered in the air, her wings blazing. You're wrong, Father. The humans created us. They gave us life, and when we forgot, Lies, the Emperor roared. He raised his weapon, a staff of pure plasma, and fired. The beam struck Lyra's chest, sending her crashing into the snow. She screamed, her light fading. Ethan saw it from inside the ruin. No. He ran out into the storm, ignoring the cold. He reached Lyra's side, holding her as she struggled to breathe. You can't give up, he said. You're the only one who can make them see. Lyra opened her eyes, weak but burning with determination. Then help me. Ethan turned toward the ruin's entrance. The beacon pulsed faster now. The signal's ready. It needs your energy to broadcast. Lyra stood shakily, lifting her hands. Then let them hear the truth. She placed her palms on the ground. The energy from her wings flowed into the crystal network. The mountain began to glow, a blinding golden wave that spread through the air up to the fleet above. In the Emperor's warship, alarms blared. Holograms appeared all over the control room. Ancient human messages, images of creation, words of peace and warning. Humanity was not the end, the message said. They were the beginning. The soldiers stared in disbelief. Some fell to their knees. Others whispered prayers to the ancient makers. The Emperor's rage shook the air. Destroy that ruin now! But it was too late. The light burst upward like a sun reborn. Every ship in orbit froze, blinded by truth. The signal carried across the galaxy, to every colony, every world, every being who had forgotten where they came from. Lyra fell to her knees, exhausted. Her energy drained completely. Ethan caught her before she collapsed. You did it, he said softly. She smiled weakly. Now they know who you are. Above them, the Emperor's ship burned, its own power overwhelmed by the ancient pulse. The sky rained fire. Ethan held her tightly as the mountain shook. We have to go. Lyra shook her head. There's nowhere left to run. But at least now we're not alone. The golden glow spread across the ice, wrapping them in warmth. As the sky filled with the light of humanity's forgotten legacy, Ethan whispered, "The truth will outlive us." Lyra smiled faintly, her voice fading into the hum of the ancient ruins. Then humanity has already won. The world was burning with light. Golden energy poured out of the mountains, rushing into the sky like rivers of fire. The signal of truth, humanity's legacy, had spread across the stars. But in the storm of brilliance, one shadow still stood. The Emperor. His armor cracked, his crimson eyes blazing with fury. He stared at Princess Lyra and Ethan Ward, who stood together amid the ruin, bathed in golden glow. You think this truth will save you? The Emperor growled. It will destroy everything we built. Lyra stepped forward, weak but fearless. Her voice echoed through the icy wind. No, Father. The truth will free us. We were never gods and only lost children of humanity. The Emperor raised his weapon. Then you are no child of mine. He unleashed a blast of pure red energy. The beam tore through the ground toward them. Lyra spread her arms wide, wings flaring with golden fire. The two powers collided, red against gold, shaking the mountains to their core. Ethan shielded his face, shouting, "Lyra, stop. You'll burn yourself." She turned her head slightly, smiling through the fire. Not if I burn for something real. The explosion that followed shattered the glacier cliffs. Ice and light mixed together, painting the sky in blinding color. When the storm settled, Lyra knelt in the snow, her body glowing faintly. The Emperor still stood, though his armor was cracked and his crown shattered. You cannot win, he said, his voice trembling. I command fleets, armies, you have nothing. Ethan stepped forward, holding the glowing human beacon in his hand. You're wrong. We have the truth, and the galaxy has seen it. As if answering him, the sky flickered with distant signals, transmissions echoing across the stars, voices of hundreds of worlds, some Zathari, some other species, all speaking the same words. We remember the makers. We remember the humans. The Emperor froze. His power faltered. No, this can't be. Lyra's eyes softened. It's over, Father. The age of lies ends today. The Emperor roared and charged at her, blade of plasma raised. But Ethan moved first. He slammed the beacon into the ground, activating its final defense system, an ancient human energy shield. The golden barrier flared up just as the Emperor's weapon struck. The impact threw him back violently, his armor shattering into fragments that scattered across the snow. He fell to his knees, defeated. The fire in his eyes faded. "What have you done?" he whispered. Lyra looked at him sadly. "I gave us back our beginning." The Emperor's last words vanished in the cold wind. His body turned to ash, carried away by the storm. The world grew quiet. The great mountain glowed like a heart slowing down after a long battle. Ethan looked at Lyra. She was fading. Her light flickered like a dying star. He caught her as she stumbled, holding her close. "Stay with me, please." Lyra smiled weakly. "I used too much energy. The power was meant to protect, not to fight." Tears burned in his eyes. "You can't die now. You saved them. You saved everyone." She reached up, touching his face. "No, we saved them." Her voice was soft as snow. "You brought hope back, and something my people forgot long ago." Ethan pressed his forehead to hers, his voice breaking. "Don't leave me." Lyra's wings shimmered one last time, golden feathers dissolving into light. "Ethan, promise me one thing. Anything. Tell your people we were not monsters. Tell them we remembered them." Her voice faded into a whisper. Her body turned into thousands of glowing particles, rising into the air like starlight. Ethan watched silently as she vanished, becoming part of the golden sky above. Hours later, the storm cleared. The twin suns rose over the mountains, shining through the last of the glowing mist. Ethan stood alone among the ruins, the human beacon still pulsing gently in his hand. It emitted a single clear signal. "To any surviving humans, we are not forgotten." He gazed up at the horizon. Far above, countless ships began to appear. Small, distant, but unmistakably human. The beacon had reached them. Ethan smiled through his tears. "You did it, Lyra," he whispered. "You brought us home." As the first human rescue ships entered the atmosphere, the Zethari below knelt in silence, watching the sky glow gold. They whispered her name like a prayer. The Princess of Fire, the one who defied her blood to protect the last human. Ethan looked toward the sky where her light had vanished. The wind carried a faint echo, her voice soft and proud. "Don't touch the human. I'll protect him," he smiled. "You always did." The suns rose higher, lighting the frozen world with warmth for the first time in centuries, and so, in the ruins of war and truth, humanity was reborn, not through power, but through love, courage, and memory.